Hello, and a wonderful day to you. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic OnPassive day because things are looking up. And before long, we'll be looking at the top. Because of that, I want you to take a look at the world today, right? I mean, just kind of look around and think about the world and how you see it. Looks a bit crazy, right? Looks like we're going through a lot of random change. Well, trust me, it's not random. It's disorderly, it's chaotic, but random is not. Anyway, this is particularly noticeable in the world of economics and in politics. And even though it looks like things are falling apart, they're not. Not really. There is a process underway. And that process, that chaos, is indicative of a period between system changes. It's fraught with uncertainty resulting from changes in politics, social norms, economic structures, and dare I say, our own consciousness and human evolution. It reflects in how we think, how we feel, and how we live. In this, we are fundamentally changing the model of human behavior. Listen, folks, there is a huge tsunami of new energy. Literally, new energy. It's scientifically proven, right? It's been coming and building for years. And this energy is creating change for the planet. It's also affecting every facet of human development. And that development is all about our awareness, our consciousness. And it has everything to do with the future and the evolution of humanity. Many people are awake to this, with many more stirring from low energy slumber, but very soon an exponential waking effect will have the masses rethinking everything we thought we knew about our world, our history, and our lives. This awakening has come at great cost, paid through years of darkness. For many years, we've all been subject to a transgenerational criminal power. As a result, through wealth, sophistication, and power, we have been deceived by those that would occupy the highest offices, offices of government, systems of education, and corporations. And the power wielded by this criminal enterprise was such that it gained near total control through media influence, which, before the split media manifested, was the primary means by which everyday people got their information. But media became fractured along lines of polarity and narratives, and we call the new media alternative media. Through the old media, now called mainstream or lamestream media, our emotions and compassions were severely exploited. Gender, race, and religion were all used to create separation between the peoples of the world, and history was literally rewritten in an effort to validate that narrative. Under the guise of social justice, false narratives of colonialism, capitalism, racism, they were all created as destabilization tactics. Those in power worked methodically to dismantle cultures, borders, and national identities, largely through mass migration, in an effort to collapse societies so they could force their dark and sinister plan on the world. You may recognize these powers by the term of deep state or cabal. Yeah, there I said it. But these players have funded both sides of war. They've created havoc and turmoil at global scales and committed unspeakable horrors that I won't even mention on a platform like this one. Most of us unwittingly surrendered to their tactics, to the lies and the manipulation endured on the way to the enactment in world dominance. That last step was the crushing of America. America is powerful, a strong symbol for freedom and the world's brightest beacon of hope. They believed if America fell, the rest of the world would fall too and be left hopeless, right? Devastated. And the plan for America's demise began years ago, as deals were made with power brokers to turn over our money system to a private central bank that we all know as the Federal Reserve. This made it possible for bad people to hold vast influence over Washington, D.C., and not all, but most of the U.S. presidents have been beholden to criminal influences in one way or another ever since, some of them very deeply. Then came the concentration of power in the many civilian intelligence agencies spread all over the globe. Under a guise of protection, these agencies became weapons for boosting activity of human trafficking and for the drug cartels. They carried out political assassinations, undermined the military, and even changed whole regimes in the foreign governments that were not willing to adapt the centralized system of money control they had put in place. The ultimate goal of their activity was to establish a new world order without national identities, without police forces or militaries, a one world government under their jurisdiction and control so as to be unstoppable. It almost worked. By 2008, America was in some pretty serious economic trouble. Trade deals that went badly led to massive job loss and financial crisis, and the criminal empire came into play within the Eastern cabal. Through this alignment, a hostile foreign enemy was able to influence the U.S. political system by inserting someone into the U.S. presidency while simultaneously buying up vast amounts of control in Western media companies. Now, on the Western Front, the cabal acted a bit differently. They represented a whole new kind of sick that operated under strong ties to symbolism and numerology. The levels of evil and cruelty reached by them were unimaginable by morally upright people. Still, they worked their way into politics and the presidency of the U.S. With East and West factions of the cabal in place, back doors, so to speak, were opened up to leak highly classified intel. Funding was cut that nearly destroyed our military, while new rules of engagement severely handicapped our greatest generals. Defensive military intelligence programs were infiltrated and exposed, and that effectively reduced our ability to detect threats to national security, whether foreign or domestic. And they used our once trusted agencies to attack political opponents and opened or relaxed borders, allowing millions of illegals and violent criminal gangs in. They also continuously moved money around the world to fund global terrorism while they birthed groups like ISIS. Now, in 2016, they moved to fortify their power through U.S. political systems, right? They did this unsuccessfully. Had they been successful, you can bet they would have pulled out millions and trillions of dollars in wealth from the system, defunded the military, and gotten rid of anyone left standing in their way. We know that there were deals to move large amounts of uranium to Iran and North Korea and to put Russia in the crosshairs for the blame. Recent events show they're still trying to work that angle. Well, they wanted war between America and Russia as a means to accelerate the end game. But in 2016, a proverbial global 11th hour, so to speak, power was rightfully restored to forces of good, to the forces of light and right, as it were, by the U.S. military and its global alliance. If that hadn't happened, their plans were to rewrite the Constitution, ban firearm sales, take over the high courts, remove the electoral college system so as to sabotage voting, right? And even eliminate the alternative media. But these things and more were thwarted by the plans that were put in place that were decades in the making. Plans that include our slow awakening to the realities of the world we live in. A world where lies, cover-ups, and narratives were hoisted upon us by the media that we grew up trusting. But now there is a methodical dismantling of that vast network of corruption found in government, industries, and legal systems. This plan is being executed legally, adhering to the exact letter of the law as originally intended to avoid even the appearance of impropriety, far, far above reproach. To do anything less would delegitimize the movement. The last 3 years have been meticulously balanced between getting the work done and managing public perception of what was actually taking place. Moving too slowly would have been to allow devastation and tyranny to accelerate beyond recovery. Moving too quickly would have severely shocked an unwitting public with near catastrophic results. But in this new trajectory, we can claim victory. The work has been arduous and unceasing, the timing has been flawless, and we owe a debt of gratitude to those brave white hat patriots making this all possible. No one alive has ever experienced life without darkness that is about to be lifted forever. Changes on the horizon have never been seen in this millennia. Things like abolishment to the illegally imposed income tax used to repay loans from the cabal banking system. Things like free energy that was kept from us to force dependence on fossil fuel monopolies. Cures for deadly diseases being released. Releasing technologies capable of opening new frontiers in space, and still more technologies made available which will create millions upon millions of jobs and open up a global renaissance. And these things are the tip of the iceberg. But I'd like you to keep these things in mind as we talk about a crazy good company. OnPassive, a revolutionary tech giant, will prove to be the most humanitarianly based, corporately responsible business on the planet. For 3 years, it's been manifesting the vision of its CEO and founder, Mr. Ash Mufareh, for lifting humanity. It's a new breed of business that is the first to be called benevolent, the first to promote compassionate action as a standard. It's a business with high minded and principled aspirations, rising with purity and coherence from the chaos around us. OnPassive is a part of the new energy that I've been speaking about for the last 2 or 3 years. It's riding high on the crest of that tsunami of change that we talked about. Specifically, it's the leading catalyst for the change emanating from within the online space and has risen to the top to be a beacon of hope for the world. As such, OnPassive will forever change the way we learn, communicate, and do business. But how OnPassive is doing that is what makes a world of difference. Most current tech giants and global corporations are based on old energy that supports making the company or its owners extremely rich by limiting opportunities and selling their employees' digital data to the highest bidder. Not so with OnPassive. OnPassive is based on cooperative effort with a mutual benefit to all its members and the world at large. It's been established to provide success for those who previously have not been able to achieve it, and it's part of the new energy that requires good intention. Like the new, legitimate powers rising up, OnPassive is absolutely legal by the letter and the spirit of the law, so it cannot be delegitimized. It guarantees success through corporate responsibility, a done for you business that has everything needed for an online presence, a generous compensation plan, substantial profit sharing with its members, and a robust line of physical products. OnPassive can ensure you are taken care of and that you have enough to help others. But it's not so much about working as it is about doing what's right because it's right. It's about compassionate action for the greatest good of humanity, and following the lead of our white hat friends, OnPassive is the correction to the corruption. This is important to know because how we adapt to the brave new world appearing over the horizon is going to determine how we face new challenges and how we solve the old ones, those created by the old way of thinking, so we can move into the future. Like Einstein said, we can't solve problems using the same thinking that created the problems to begin with. In other words, elevate your consciousness. Let's collectively raise our frequency to get to the solution. OnPassive has embraced the new way of thinking. We are actively in the race, the human race, as a solutions provider for humanity. We are a company with heart that will tackle humanitarian crisis in all its forms through love, caring, and connectedness. Through OnPassive, we can each make a big difference in our own homes, our communities, states, and beyond in direct proportion to our personal passion, a passion made more powerful by OnPassive. In this way, we lift the human condition for billions. Is that something that you can get on board with? Are you founder material? Find out. On Wednesday, March 30th this year at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, OnPassive is going to host a celebration like none you have ever seen. It's called The Top. It's going to be streamed live across the globe through social media, and it's going to be an event that you're likely never to forget. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Go to the website you see here, www.thetop.live, and witness history in the making. Witness the stuff dreams are made of. You're going to like the way it makes you feel.